Good morning. Today is January 5th, 2026. I am currently in the Aldi's parking lot. I spent $115 at Aldi's, y'all. And it's because of the protein. I bought 4 pieces of protein. I got chicken wings, chicken breast, and 2 pieces of beef, which were the most expensive parts, like a chuck roast and a brisket, which like honestly that's kind of where all that came from. The meat was like $16 and something else was $20. Anyways, it was a good haul. Sorry, it was a good haul, so that's fine. This nigga. Oh no, that's true. Okay. Anyways, I'm about to head home. I went to the gym this morning and I picked up the produce and protein from Aldi's, which honestly, it's gonna pan out because I freeze it and I end up using it later. So it's all gonna make sense later. Anyways, I am just grateful for the day. I'm sweating. Anyways, sorry. I am grateful for today. I am grateful for my sister. Today is my sister's birthday. Shout out to my sister. Woo! Later on when I get home, I will share a nice little story time of my sister. And I'm only doing this, I know people who know me in real life. I'm only doing this for my sister because she is honestly the reason why I am even behind this camera, and her constant push to like push me to levels where I don't think I'm ready for, but she sees something that I'm ready for. It's all because of her, and then me putting myself out there and people seeing it. I have this GoPro, like, you know, like all of these things happened, and the catalyst was my sister, because we've been talking about this. I've been talking about doing videos for a while, and it was that day in October, I think. She was like, just post it. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, you know what? You're right. So this is a special shout out to my sister because today is her birthday and I love her so much, y'all. Like, I wish I could explain to you how much I love my sister, but like there's no words to explain it. She's my sister and she's my best friend. But once again, I'll tell you the story time later once I get home. I have to go home, I have to shower, and I have a doctor's appointment later on. So you'll see me when I get home. Okay, guys. Love you guys. Stay safe. Stay warm. Bye. Hey y'all, we are back in the kitchen and we are doing a twofold thing today. The first part is making some appies. I'm going to turn the camera over to show you what I have. That's the first part. The second part is I am going to make some brown stew chicken, and the goal is to do this all before I have to leave for my appointment. So I have about an hour and a half, so we're gonna get to work. Let me move this camera down. Okay, so I'm gonna do a bit show and tell of the items that I have for the appies. We have parsley. I'm gonna use these bell peppers that I got from Aldi's. A whole lot of green onions. Regular onions, garlic. This is the fresh garlic that I had grinded up, and I also have my garlic, so I'm gonna use the rest of my jarred garlic and then some of this. These are just some herbs that I have in my fridge that I do want to get rid of. This is, I don't really use the dill, but I'm gonna use it this time. And then I have thyme. thyme. And then I have my white vinegar and some avocado oil. Not a lot though. And then I'm also gonna add one of these chicken bouillon packets and then some beef bouillon packets. And that's all there is to it for me, at least. This is how I'm gonna do it this time around. I'm gonna make a lot. Well, I'm gonna make a lot, basically just depending on how much I'm going to yield with these, and I'm going to put them in some glass jar containers, freeze some, and save the rest of them in my fridge. Yeah, so the next clips are gonna be just speeding it up and chopping things up and putting everything in the blender, and that's it. Hey y'all, we are back, and this is what it's looking like. I think I blended it for a little bit too long because I have a little bit more liquid than I would like or need, but all is well. It will work the same. We are looking super green because I used all green peppers and everything of that nature. So I'm gonna go bottle this up and then start working on my stew chicken. And I had to start with this because this is the base of all of my food. So this is what we're at right now. It smells great. Quick segment is gonna be a quick little story. I'm saying little, let's see how long it actually takes. But this is gonna be a quick, a story time about me and my sister. So a little fun fact about me, I am one of 4. I have an older brother, an older sister, myself, and then my youngest brother. We are all 2 years apart, aside from my youngest brother. So it's my oldest brother, 2 years. It's my sister Gael, 2 years. It's me. And then don't quote me on this because I be forgetting the number, but I think like 9 years after, it's Junior. I feel like it's 9. I know that he's not 25 yet, but like, chart it to my head, not my heart. Okay. And if you know us in real life, you see us and you're like, wow, like they're like really close sisters. And like, yes, we are, but my sister is also my best friend. But the funny thing is that we've actually grew into a friendship. We weren't always close. And I don't know whether that is a normal story for most siblings. But my sister and I, we were really, I would say we were close to each other, as in we had to share a room, we had to share spaces. In order for me to go anywhere, sometimes like I would have to go with her. So like we always shared spaces. We've always, you know, been in the same room and had to do it, but we never really tapped into a friendship until later on. And I would say for me, my perspective, growing in a household with Haitian parents, it was hard for me to really be close to my sister because my parents and my family were always comparing us to, and it sucked. And I think for me specifically, it got in the way of me actually knowing who my sister truly was, because of the fact that like everything that I did, it was like, well, your sister did this, your sister did this. And I grew up, I would never say I never hated my sister, but I grew up where I resented her and I was envious of her because I kept being compared to her, and she did nothing wrong. Like my sister has her own perspective, and it's interesting her being the eldest daughter, like her perspective on how she grew up. But for me, it was just so hard because I felt I was a middle child, and I felt like I had a younger brother who was a surprise baby, you know, and we could go on to tangents about being the middle child, and I was supposed to be the last one, and then my brother comes in, and then now like I'm named after my dad, not for no reason, but we could go on to tangents. But it was harder for me to really connect with my sister because of the fact that like everything that I did, I was like, well, your sister's getting good grades, your sister's doing this, your sister's doing that. So I spent, from what I can remember now, it's like I had phases of relationships with my sister. So there was the phase where I was just envious of her and I just couldn't stand to be around her, even though we shared a room, even though she was super nice to me. I was like, I just can't stand her. And I went through a phase where I wanted to do everything that was the opposite of my sister. And it was interesting because we went to the same schools. So like everyone was like, oh, you're Gael's little sister, and I was like, I want to be my own person. I was like, I just want to be my own person. And when we finally went to different high schools, that's when I was like, I'm gonna make a point to do everything that's not her. And which is funny because academically, I'm not the best, but she's really good at like school. And even though we both have like test anxiety and stuff, but like I would say like she did basketball through high school, and for my school, they really wanted me to do basketball, but I was like, no, I'm gonna do everything that's not basketball because God didn't do basketball. So I did the sports that she didn't do. So I did tennis, I ended up doing volleyball, I ended up doing track. I stopped doing track because she did track too. So it was just, yeah. And then there was a point in, I would say high school, where my immediate family, my household became, I would say super toxic, honestly, and it was, anyways, super toxic. But at that point, I had my sister. So it was me and my sister who really shouldered a lot of the issues that were going on in our household. We ended up, it's so bad, but we ended up being like adults. Like we had to be adults at a young age at that point, where we were shouldering, you know, financial stuff, like the bills and stuff. We were also, I think the worst part in my opinion, we were also showing a lot of like emotional trauma and dumping from both sides of my my parents. We had to shoulder that and had to, like, you're having your parents talk to you about their issues as if you are a friend of theirs and you're like 15, 16 years old. Like, there are things that I never needed to know, and that has changed a lot in how we interact with them, for sure. And we had to be parents to my younger brother. So like we were making sure that he was getting to school, summer programs, like being disciplining him, also being comforting to him, also like just also. So we did all of that. And then, so like it shifted from envious to me and her, we're locked in, because my oldest brother, he was not really shouldering everything that we had to shoulder, which is very Haitian, but it was just me and her. It was me and her like this. I was like, we had each other's backs, and we would sit in the room and just talk about everything we learned, figure out game plans. Like it was me and her. And then she left me. She ended up going to college. She ended up going to Andrews University in Michigan. And I think that was a really big fracture in our relationship, in where I felt like she was, I have told her this, I think, but at the time, it felt like she was abandoning me, because I was like, all this is going on and you just left. But like, it was, I know this now, it was necessary. But so that also fractured our relationship, in where like she's trying to navigate being the first one in our home to ever leave. My oldest brother went to a school in Massachusetts and commuted. So like she was like the first one to actually like leave the home, go like 8 hours away to Michigan to like, and at school by herself. So she had to navigate all that, and I'm having to navigate being the only like emotional stable, like, or just person in the household. So I ended up having to take on the helm of, you know, parenting my brother, you know, figuring out household stuff, like doing all that stuff. And at the time, since she left, I kind of felt like, oh, okay, well, like you left, so I'm just gonna figure it out by myself. And I would say those 2 years, it was so interesting. I started doing crazy things. I started because I didn't have my sister's guidance. Started wearing colored contacts. I started pushing the needle with with my freedoms a little bit. I was working, and she was always there for like, you know, pivotal moments. She always tried to check in with me, and I will say that, but it was me who never really allowed that continuous relationship to happen. I visited her in school as well, and I got to see her in like this new environment with like her new friends and all that stuff. It was interesting. But I would say the main thing that caused us or created what you see today is me going to Andrews. At the time when it came for me to choose where to go to school, I ended up choosing to be with my sister instead of staying at home because it was still a toxic situation, and I was like, I can't do it, and I'd rather just be with her, even though I didn't want to go there. But I was like, I'd rather just be over there with her because at least it's something. And the main thing, or the main reason why we are so close, is because my sister really was super intentional with getting to know me. And I'll always say, like, when I went to Andrews, I was very prepared to be under my sister's shadow in a way, because I was like, it's gonna be like middle school again, where I walk into a school that my sister and my brother has been at, and everyone's like, oh, you're a blah 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 sibling. So which did happen. I will say which did happen. I get that. But she didn't just like leave me be. She really like made it intentional. And there was one time I could think specifically where she was like, oh, you know, when I first got to the school, we used to have dinners, and like I would have dinner with her and her roommates and her friends. And then I'm making my own friends. Shout out to you, Lydia, I love you. Okay, I have my own friends, and while we did have like group dinners a lot at the school, she like pulled me to the side. She's like, oh, like let's have breakfast together, let's have dinner together, let's have lunch together. And I was so scared because I was like, just me? Like, are you sure? Because I was like, I'm just not like, I just didn't feel, because especially going into an environment where she's kind of established herself. She has been in all these clubs. She was in the choir. She was doing all this stuff. I was like, are you sure? And I just felt like our relationship at that point was just going to be me hanging out with her, but not her wanting to hang out with me. And I remember like being like her really being intentional, like checking schedules and be like, oh, let's do this time and this time, like, and really making a point to have like one-on-one like conversations and quality time with each other. And I would say that was honestly like the start of what you see today. And I will always appreciate her, because I know for me, I was so afraid of like embarrassing her in some type of way that like I didn't want to like be on her too much. But I was like, because she's already there, and I was afraid of hanging out with her too much, and like I felt like she was gonna be like, girl, leave me alone. So like I didn't want to overdo it, but like I was like, oh, like if you want to hang out. But she's like, no, like I actually do want to hang out with you. Like I want to hang out with you, fun's out. And like we actually got to know each other and spend time with each other and talk to each other outside of like sibling stuff, but actually like on a one-to-one, person-to-person level. And ever since then, ever since Andrews, y'all, we've been locked in for life. I mean, we already are, but like for real. And I mean, I feel to this day, we still learn a lot about each other. There are still things that we open up with each other more and more to be more vulnerable with each other. But she's my person for real. We have the same morbid like personality and jokes, because sometimes I'll be saying things that are kind of off the wall, and she'll be saying things off the wall, so like we get each other on a cellular level. But yeah, so that's just like a little bit of background about me and my sister, and how we are who we are today. So that's the end of this story time segment. It is a special one just because it is my girl's birthday. So I love you, Kyle. I hope you see this later. Okay, bye.